Hey guys, I'm Jasmine. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. Occasionally, I do Reddit dating advice topics where I will hop on Reddit, find some topics to discuss, and I will share with you guys my 2 cents on how I would handle these situations. Feel free to check out that playlist. It will be linked in the cards as well as down below in the description box. I have a variety of juicy different stories that you guys can check out. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on them. I always respond to my comments. I like to have the conversations going because some of these situations I potentially have been in, and then other situations I know how I would handle the situation myself. But today I have 2 different stories that I wanted to talk to you guys about, share with you guys my opinion on them, and you guys let me know in the comments how you would handle this situation if you were in this person's shoes. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So it says, my husband doesn't want kids, but I do. My husband and I have been married for almost 8 years. We talked about the subject before getting married, and he expressed he wanted kids with me. But for the last 2 years, he's been saying he doesn't want any kids. Now, before I continue this story, I just want to say, whenever you are dating someone, it is very important to make sure you guys are on the same width when it comes to long-term goals about what you guys want for your life. Don't get me wrong, sometimes people's wants can change, but I do think it is very important to evaluate perspectives, even on a yearly basis, as you guys continue your relationship, because sometimes people can change their minds, but there are other times where sometimes people actually deep down have certain thought processes that they may be hiding, and this is why it is important to be very honest about what you want and what type of lifestyle that you would like in the future to have with your significant other, whoever you choose to be with. So it says, but for the last 2 years, he's saying he doesn't want any kids. He thinks kids are expensive, doesn't have the patience, and he is very selfish with his time. I'm almost 30 years old, and I want to have a kid before I turn 35. This year, I asked him several times if he had changed his mind regarding becoming a parent, and he clearly stated,
My answer is final. I don't want any kids.
And I also have to mention this because it did say at the beginning the person had been married to this person for almost 8 years, and they aren't even 30 yet. Now, how do I say this? When you are young, you do have certain concepts that you would like to have for your life, okay? When I say young, I mean teenager, 18, 19, early 20s. And sometimes those concepts can change as you get older, as you get more settled into yourself. And this is why I feel like a lot of times people should slowly dive into marriage versus diving into marriage. When you get married, when you're at a younger age, certain perspectives and wants and needs may change as you get older and become more established as to who you are. You know what I mean? Also, your partner, what they want could change depending on how old they are. I would just say always have the real conversations of, do you want to get married or do you want to have kids? And I would even say don't wait too long if you plan on having kids as well, if you are married. And what I mean by that is, I would say have kids within 5 years of getting married. That way both of y'all can be on the same page, and then if somebody ends up changing their mind within those 5 years, you can just dip if they not trying to do the same stuff, you know, and be on the same time you're on, you know? She said, I feel lost as I do want children of my own. For the longest time, I thought I could live without becoming a mother and stuck to his idea of living child-free, but I think I just wanted this to work. Do not put your feelings on the back burner. If children is something that you really want or something you don't want, be vocal about it. And if that person disagrees with you, I'm gonna be honest, y'all just not compatible, because a lot of times people will be in these situations where they'll be wanting something or not wanting something because they didn't get what they wanted. They will end up resenting their significant other and life will pass them by. So I do recommend, if y'all are not compatible as far as what y'all long-term goals are, end things, because you will just end up wasting time. You're steadily going to be holding out and hoping for this person to change their concept and idea. If they don't want that, you can't bully them into doing it. And if you want something different for yourself, then you need to find somebody else. And it's easier said than done, but I'm gonna be honest. I've seen people who wanted to have kids and didn't be very resentful and bitter about it when they got older. I've also seen people who had kids, many people who had kids and they did not want to have kids, and they also were very resentful and potentially treated their children like trash. So just be mindful. For the longest time, I thought I could live without becoming a mother and stuck to his idea of living child-free, but I think I just wanted this to work. I do picture him as a father and want that with him, but now that I'm getting older, I think I will grow to resent him if I don't have kids. We discussed this topic and I explained that we both wanted different things in life, and his response was,
well, maybe we will have one in the future.
See, to me that's manipulative, especially if he doesn't really want that, but you know. I explained that it was easy for him to say that, but that I am a woman and our clocks work differently, which is true. Also, this doesn't mean he is all in for it. He could change his mind again. I expressed that I needed a firm answer and he couldn't really answer. I love him, but this has me very discouraged. A couple days ago, we cried because it's a huge topic and I said I couldn't see us together if we wanted different things. He said he didn't want to lose me and couldn't imagine life without me, and that broke me. Now he is saying let's have a kid in a couple years, but now I'm not sure if his decision is honest or if he's just saying that to keep me. I don't want to stay in this marriage and have him resent me later on if I do end up pregnant. I'm completely lost and don't know if his decision is truthful. What would you do? I want to have kids with someone that would be extremely happy to find out he will be a parent when I announce it. And another thing, I feel like his family would judge me for leaving the marriage for this reason. I don't like confrontation and hurting people's feelings, but I understand my happiness is important too. But I also feel like I regret leaving my marriage. It's all the what ifs. So, this is your life. Okay? And you should not worry about how other people are going to see you or judge you because, again, you get one life. If kids are something that you want, you don't have to take that gamble and, to be honest, find somebody else.
Hopefully find somebody else.
So personally, I don't want children. I did a video about it. However, I will say, if you want something, you need to be honest. Do not put your feelings on the back burner just because of what other people think. If kids are what you want, go out there and do that. At the end of the day, you can still have a kid that may potentially not have a father. You can adopt. You can do insemination if you have the money to do so. You know, there are methods that are available if you want to have a child, but you do have to be mindful of the fact that having a kid with somebody who does not want a kid and they end up potentially treating that kid horribly, that's not really ideal for your future child, specifically if they didn't want to have that kid. It says, I forgot to mention that one time while discussing the topic, I said, well, what if I were to end up pregnant? And he said, well, I'm not going to pretend to be happy because I don't want it. I'm not going to fake it. Those words opened a wound and now I can't forget them. I brought it up recently and he apologized for it. He said he was childish and didn't realize it would make me feel this way. He said how he felt. I am saying this from a perspective of somebody who does not want children, okay? However, I do not think that there is anything wrong if people want to have children. If that's what you want, if that's a dream of yours, a goal of yours, you should be able to have that. But I will say, the longer you spend time with someone who is not on the same page as you is more time that you will not have to potentially meet somebody who might be on the same page as you, who will be on the same page as you. Within this post, it just seems like it was a whole bunch of empty promises because I don't like that concept of him basically saying,
let's try for kids some years later.
No, if we're married already, I want to have a kid as soon as possible because of the way my body is set up as a woman and everything that comes with it. I want to do that right now, and if you don't want that, that's okay. Let me remove myself. It doesn't even have to be anything super extensive. You know, it sucks because you did invest all this time in this person, but at the same time, you do not want to wake up in your 40s, 50s and realize, dang, I really wanted to have kids and now I don't like my husband because he kept me from having kids, or he fed me empty promises, or he made me feel like potentially it could happen even though he has told me multiple times he did not want this life. He did not want to have kids. I guess you would have to figure out, to me it seems like the kids is a very important factor for what you want your life to end up being like, so it's not your fault because at the beginning he seemed like he wanted to have kids and then he changed his mind. And there's nothing wrong with changing your mind, but I do have to say, when someone tells you and is very explicit after you ask them multiple times, like time spaced out. For example, within a year span, you know you're about to be 30 something years old. You have established some sort of foundation in your relationship, and you established before throughout your relationship that you want to have kids, and now this person is changing their mind saying they don't want to. You need to tell them the kid thing is a deal breaker for me. I love you, but at the same time, I have always wanted to be a mother. This is something I've always wanted. So if you're not on the same page, we cannot be together. Sure, we may love each other, but I'm not gonna have you up here hating me, resenting me, because I wanted to have a kid. You gave me this baby, and now you're a father of a kid that you didn't want, and you're treating the kid horrible now. And I'm also not going to put myself in a situation where I want to have this kid and you're telling me no constantly and telling me you would not be happy. I'm sorry, but that's literally a red flag for a potential father. If he tells you, yeah, I wouldn't be happy when I find out you're pregnant, it's like, that's crazy to me. That's absolutely insane to me, especially if this is someone that's supposed to be your husband. If he don't want that, that is fine, but he can have that lifestyle without you, and you can have the lifestyle of having a kid with somebody else. Or you could do it on your own. There are billions of people on the planet. Actually, I don't know how many people on the planet. Let me stop lying. But you potentially have options out there. Now, I'm not going to say it's very easy to meet somebody, but what I will say is you do not want to put your wants and aspirations for your life, especially if you had a picture in your head forever, for years. You do not want to let go of that dream just because a man is not on the same page. Because to me, that just means that's not the person you're supposed to be with, in my personal perspective. And again, I know it's easier said than done to just end things with somebody who you could see yourself building your life with. However, when you saw yourself building your life, kids were involved. Okay, kids were a part of the package. And now he's saying the package has changed. Okay, then you are not a part of that package no more. That's how I see it anyways. Alright, so the next topic is kind of similar. It says, I want kids and my boyfriend doesn't. My boyfriend is a 34-year-old male and we've been together for 5 years, and I am a 32-year-old female. Never planned to have kids. I never really considered it as an option because I worked long hours and felt I was barely around enough to give my dog a good life. Don't worry, he's had an adventurous life. And I was always broke. Looking back, I think I also didn't feel grown up until recently. Now we are doing pretty well and our schedules are pretty ideal for having children. I started wanting to have children a year ago when visiting my parents and going through all the photos from my grandparents' lifetime. It was a strong, sudden urge, like the flip of a switch, that I imagine is largely biological, though it's also inspired by having wonderful childhood memories with my siblings, parents, and grandparents, and wanting to have them with my own family, and probably also related to finally feeling grown up and ready for the next stage of my life. I'm not gonna hold you. When you reach a certain part of your 30s, the female body really goes through some changes where it's like,
You know, a baby don't sound that bad.
personally, no. But a lot of women do go through that phase. I know I have moments where I have an urge where I'm like, I could potentially be a mom. But it goes away like that. The moment I hear a baby crying, it birth control, okay? Some women do have those urges and they stay. When I started feeling this way, my boyfriend initially said he doesn't ever want kids, mainly so he can focus on his career and life goals. His career is his passion, so it gives him more purpose than I have in my life. Since then, he says he also sometimes has a similar urge to have children, though it seems much less strong. But he feels like we can't afford to have kids. While we don't have much extra money, we make about twice the median household income for our state. So I'm sure we could change our lifestyle to save money if we needed to. I feel badly because I'm the one who changed my mind. We both understand this isn't something we can simply compromise on. My boyfriend understands if I want to break up to have children with someone else, but I'm not sure I want to. I want to have a family, raise children with him specifically because I think he's wonderful and he's really one of a kind. I'm also afraid of having children past 35. I have an impending health thing that may impact my ability to have children at some point in the next few years. I'm afraid that if we broke up, I may not have children anyway. I also wonder if his mind may ever change the way mine suddenly did. If you had asked me a month earlier, I'd also say we wouldn't have kids. What would you do? If you had been in a similar situation, what did you do? How did it end up? I suddenly changed my mind and decided I want kids. My boyfriend doesn't. I'm afraid to break up and end up without children anyway, and also hoping he might have the same realization I did one day. So this is a hard call, in my opinion. All I'm gonna say is you gotta live for you at the end of the day. The boyfriend clearly expressed, girl, if you want to leave, you can leave, because I understand if this is something you really want. I get it, but I'm not on the same page. Financially, it's not feasible. Sure, you may say we can change some things up, but I don't want to go through the struggle. And in your head, you're thinking a lot of things.
We could have a baby and it wouldn't be no problem.
He could do this with me, it wouldn't be no problem. I'm pressed for time. I want him to be the father. And this is the thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting things, but when you start kind of trying to push in ideas on the people when they clearly said that they didn't want that lifestyle for them, you cannot change people. If a person does not want that, you cannot force them to have that, because that's unfair for your significant other. If you really care about them, I'm gonna be honest, and you really want to have children, overall for the best, it would probably be best to remove yourself and let them go. Logically speaking, it would be better to let them go instead of hoping they'll change their mind. When you hope for something that has to do with an established thought process of somebody else, it's not ideal, and you will potentially be very disappointed. A lot of times you will be very disappointed. And when it comes to these types of situations, you do have to evaluate if having a kid is worth more than the relationship, in my opinion. In the second situation, I feel like more than likely biological, if this is not something that this person went through before, or it could just be the fact that when you get older and you get more money and you become more established and more settled into things within yourself, it becomes easier to realize, okay, having a family, having kids makes more sense to me versus when you were younger and not established. If somebody has expressed to you, no, I do not want no kids, I don't want them, and you know deep down in your heart that you want them, you should probably break up. If you know this is something that will not change within you, you should probably break up. Now, it is just a gamble you're going to have to take, because it is no guarantee you're going to meet somebody else, but you never know. You could meet somebody else. Or if you want, you could adopt. There are options potentially out there if you want to have kids, but you cannot force somebody to want the same things as you. That's like the main thing. You cannot put it on them for that, because again, they could end up resenting you. They could end up resenting the child, end up treating the child horribly. And that is something that I feel like a lot of people do not think about. If someone does not want kids for real, they could end up treating the child not very well. And this could impact the way the child grows up, the way the child handles their own personal thoughts about themselves, views about relationships. It's very important to have somebody who wants kids and who will want to give love to them and encourage them and help shape them. Not have kids with somebody who does not want to have kids. Now let me know in the comments down below how y'all would handle this situation. Would y'all still stay with somebody if you knew you wanted to have kids but they didn't? Would you hope that they would change their mind? Or would you try to break up and just move forward, potentially try to meet someone else? Or would you just give up your dream of having kids and hope that you would be okay with it in the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I feel like this is such a rough topic, but I think a lot of people go through it. You know, with the way the economy is, with the way society is, with the way children are handled specifically nowadays. It can be tough if you find somebody, everything seems to be going well, but then the concept of wanting kids is a factor that can weigh on your relationship, as if it's a deal breaker or not. And this is why, again, I tell people all the time, whenever you date, you need to constantly establish if you want kids or not, or acknowledge if you want kids or not. Because I know in the past, for me, I have had people tell me they wanted to have kids, and I would tell them I did not. Sometimes they would tell me,
oh, you'll probably change your mind.
And a lot of people have told me that you'll change your mind. No, I will not. I will not. I will not change my mind, because I have a multiple of personal reasons why I personally would not have children. If you guys would like, you guys can watch that video. But I think that it is very selfish to try to force somebody to change their thought processes. And there's nothing wrong with being selfish. However, when you're trying to force somebody into doing something that they don't want to do, this will have bad results upon the child that you bring into the world, okay? When I started really dating for real, when I would find somebody that I wanted to date seriously, I would tell them, if you want kids, do not talk to me.
If you want kids, do not talk to me.
And I would establish that so they wouldn't even end up having feelings for me before it even started, because I'm like, there's no reason for you to even have feelings for me if you want something completely different from what I want. And it would help some men. Some men would be like,
dang. Okay, I'm out.
I'm like, bet. However, there were some men that would be like, we should have kids. We should have kids. It's like, how you trying to have kids with somebody you don't even know? But anyways, that's besides the point. All I'm saying is the conversation needs to be had multiple times. If you two are different in difference of opinions, in my opinion, that just means that y'all need to find somebody else more compatible for the lifestyle goals that you have for yourself in the future. Y'all goals need to match up. That's the main issue. You should be with someone and in a relationship with someone where y'all goals are connected. They should not be separate goals all the time. Like, you should be your own person and they should be your own person. They should have their own goals they aspire towards. You should have your own goals that you aspire towards. However, you guys do need to have similar relationship goals that link up and make sense. Family establishments, evaluating what type of family situation y'all want to have in the future is very important to establish early on so that you understand this is it. This is it. Or even knowing the reason why somebody doesn't want to have kids. There are some situations where somebody could be like, I don't want to have kids because of money. Okay, is that the only reason why you don't want to have kids? Is it more to it than just the money? If that's the only reason, if we reach a point where we have financial stability, would you want to have one? Okay. But then some people are like, I don't want to have kids because of money, because of the school system, because of the way they do healthcare, because of going through the pregnancy, because of, it's a lot of different reasons that can add up. That conversation needs to be had. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments down below. I'll be seeing you guys again soon. Make sure you guys check out my other dating relationship chit chat advice, because I do talk about a different variety of different topics. Check out that playlist. It will be linked down below. But I'll be seeing you guys again soon. Stay blessed, stay positive.